על ספרו של הנשיא לשעבר קרטר ועל דף חדש, אולי ביחסי שתי הקהילות, שוחחתי עם המטיף גלן פלמר מדטרויט.
I would say that the relations have not been frosty between black Americans and Jews. I think that the relationship between a very small number of black Americans and Jews have been frosty. So if you're talking about people like Jesse Jackson, or you're talking about people like Al Sharpton, they really do not speak the sentiment of the greatest majority of black Americans. And I'm telling you that the sentiment of black America is a love, first of all, for the Bible, a love for God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and a love for God's people, Jews and Israel. That is across the board in black America. Now, the challenge is, how do we then get Israel and black America to somehow connect in a stronger way? That's the challenge, and I think that the challenge, we're all up for it, and I think that it's going to happen.
But there is another challenge, Pastor Plummer. Even President Carter, ex-President Carter, chose a very controversial title to his latest book, Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. Let's listen to what Mr. Carter told our correspondent in Washington.
All right.
It has a connotation to the repulsive regime in South Africa. Why did you decide to use such a word?
I think that the persecution of the Palestinians in their own land and the separation, forced separation of them from Israeli settlers, and the requirement that they have passes, and the taking away from them of their land by occupation, then by confiscation, then by colonization, and the building of a wall to separate the two, all have the same connotations as apartheid in South Africa. And I wanted to be, I think, both accurate and, I have to admit, provocative.
The issue of apartheid and comparing it to what's happening here in Israel for a black American is both insulting. It is, I think he said he's trying to be provocative. Well, certainly he's been provocative.
At least in the title of the book.
Well, but he also said he's trying to be, I think, accurate, or however he put it. I think that in all due respect to the president, former President Carter, he is not correct that to compare apartheid in South Africa, I was there. I saw what happened. I felt and smelled apartheid. I didn't live there, but as an American, I saw it firsthand. And I've been in Israel many times. I've seen Ethiopian Jews. I've seen Palestinians. I've been to Bethlehem. What was not happening in South Africa was there was not suicide bombings by blacks against the white regime in South Africa. What was not happening was there was not a declaration to eliminate and destroy utterly every white person in South Africa. That wasn't happening. What's happening here is that you have regimes that are calling for the absolute annihilation of the Jewish people and Israel in particular. And you have Israel, some would say, don't have a right to defend itself. That's absurd. And so to compare apartheid with what's happening here as a black is frankly insulting. And so not only is it wrong, but the analogy is, with all due respect to President Carter, is an attempt to sell some books.
He distorted the picture, in your view.
Well, that's like someone saying...
Or distorting the reality.
It's like someone saying Israel is Goliath, and the Arab communities, including the Palestinians, are David, and it is so opposite of what actually is happening. And so clearly I don't agree with it, and clearly I think it's a major distortion of the truth.
Will you make a similar statement to your church, to your community in Detroit?
Not only will I have, I speak very openly, and you would be perhaps surprised to know that there are millions of African Americans who do in their hearts stand with Israel and the Jewish people. There are thousands of black pastors in America who feel very strongly and passionately for Israel and the Jewish people. I was here to announce an award that will be annual here in Israel at the Knesset. And it is a Martin Luther King Israel Award. And Martin Luther King Jr. was not only pro-Israel, but Martin Luther King Jr. basically defined Zionism by saying that Zionism is the right of the Jewish people to rebuild their plundered land and for them to come and be the people of God here in this land. So Dr. King, who embodied Black America, certainly would not agree with with President Carter's analogy of apartheid.
Pastor Glenn Plummer, I thank you very much indeed.
Yaakov, thank you for having me.